Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Aquarius, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of August. August 2025. I hope you're well. I'm using the Crow Tarot for you today. It's very interesting. It came out for Capricorn and now it's coming out for you, which is interesting because you're both Saturn-ruled signs, at least in ancient astrology. So I do wonder if there's some commonality of experience that might be being had by both of you at this time. Anyway, before I start getting distracted and prattling on, if the reading resonates with you and it goes, you'd like to go deeper with it, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's via one of the links in the description box below. You're looking for the link that takes you to Selfie, or alternatively, you can come over to my private community, which is hosted on the Circle platform. It's the Order of the Phoenix. There you can get access to all of the extended content for no extra cost beyond the membership fee. You can hang out with an extraordinary group of people. You can see all the weekly energy readings that I do, plus readings that I do for big transits and things like that, or sometimes when it just takes my fancy to do so, which actually happens quite a bit. And we run live classes over there too. So if that sounds like it might be of interest to you, you know what to do with those links. Right, Aquarius, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. Could I have 3 cards for Aquarius, please? Right, we've got 9 of Swords in the recent past. Current energy for Aquarius is the Knight of Wands, Sagittarius energy there. And what's coming towards Aquarius, please, for August? Oh, goodness. Okay, let's get these over right. We have got the 6 of Cups in reverse, and we have got the Lover's card on its side. I feel like this is a bit of a turning point for you. It's interesting. August is Leo season, which is your opposite sign in the zodiac. So I mean, obviously, there's a lot of energy, kind of solar energy at least, plumbing into the sign of Leo. You will feel that on some sort of level, but this turning point energy feels really strong. I don't know what you're turning toward, but it's there nevertheless. Now, the Hierophant at the bottom of the deck is quite interesting. This is the shadow card for me. It's the theme that underlies the entire reading, because the Hierophant is essentially, we talk about the Hierophant in terms of being a teacher, right? But what actually he is a decoder of the spiritual and the mystical, right? And then what he does is translates it into a way that these acolytes down here, this is known as an acolyte card, can understand. Now, when done properly, there will be no gatekeeping or anything like that. But what there will be is level appropriate messages coming through from the divine, effectively, which are then translated in a way that people lower down the pecking order might be able to understand. Now, you will probably have the same problem with this card that I do, which is that it is at its core essentially hierarchical. I'm an Aquarius South Node, and I don't like hierarchies too much. I'm not a fan. But I think even that taken into account, realistically, hierarchies exist, and in order for a teacher to teach a student, like even just in that that example there, we have an indication of where a hierarchy is useful, right? Now, ideally, the situation would be the teacher is also open to learning from the student, and that for me is really quite important. I've often described my children as my greatest teachers, and they really have been, because they've taught me things that I could not have experienced on my own, right? I needed to see the world through their eyes for just a moment to change my thinking on things. So for me, a true teacher-student relationship is actually relatively reciprocal. It's not based on this very structured top-down dissemination of information. But I do wonder, Aquarius, if you are being shuffled into place to be that decoder of divine and spiritual messages, almost like it's time for you to start getting out of your head and aligning with your destiny, I think. because you have something that you need to share with the world, and the world is actually looking at you and ready to receive it. Now, we've talked a little bit over the last couple of months. If you've seen my videos before, you'll recall this, how it feels to me like Leo and Aquarius have to some extent switched places. Why? I don't know. I can't explain the mechanism by which this has happened, but it is something that I see. And so, by definition, now that Aquarius is in the middle of things and Leo is rather on the outside of things, doing their own thing and doing their own work, getting ready to, for the point where you two switch back and you take your more traditional roles with things. That again, we're kind of back to that idea of hierarchy and kind of brushing off the muck that we might naturally associate with the idea of hierarchical structures, and seeing where they are effective and they are necessary. I say this because Leo is used to being the centre of all things, right? So Leo emanates outwards. That's why there's this performative quality to Leo quite often. But as things stand, Leo doesn't have anything to perform. It doesn't have anything to give right now, right? Leo is charging up its magnet. And I think that's how I described it with Leo the other day when I was doing the Leo reading. And what is a performer without an audience, right? I'm kind of pausing because I can feel how uncomfortable this is. Even the notion of this is making me right now, and like I'm assuming that's touching your energy somewhere. That's why I'm feeling this way. It just feels kind of awkward, and it feels kind of gross, and it feels like there's something distasteful about people looking at you and expecting you to have some sort of message, and you may indeed have that message and it may be very much there and you're kind of ready to share it, but it's like there's something about the way that you are that you sense innately needs to shift in order to accept the role that you have right now, and you don't like it. It feels a little bit gross. So if you could just calm down, that would be awesome, because I'm starting to get palpitations. It's not good. Anyway, let's get some clarifiers out on the table. Tell me about the Nine of Swords, please. Where's the Nine of Swords here for Aquarius? Right, there's the first card. I only take them when they jump to the left. Very, very rarely take them when they fall to the right. We have the Death card. That's the card of Scorpio in the Major Arcana. About the Nine of Swords. I'm not taking that many. That's ridiculous. Tell me about the Nine of Swords, please. Thank you. Six of Pentacles reversed. Okay. Tell me about the Knight of Wands. Ten of Swords, Knight of Cups reversed. Tell me about the Six of Cups and the Lover's card, please. King of Swords reversed, Aquarius. Temperance on its side, that's Sagittarius. And we also have the Nine of Cups on its side. We have the Fool at the bottom of the deck. Now this is very interesting. It's very interesting indeed, because, whatever age you are, Aquarius, as you're watching this, I think my demographic seems to be about 35 plus, and that's absolutely fine, right? But what extends from that is the idea that most of us are relatively entrenched in our sense of who we are. And some of us get a little bit preoccupied with the fact that there's no... It kind of like changes way beyond us. We're not really ready to do that. Now, Aquarius is very good at debating ideas, right? It's what Aquarius likes to do. It likes to explore ideas and push out and out and out and out that way. But there's something that's seemingly hitting you right in the fucking feels here. about the way that you need to change in order to fulfill this role that we were talking about. It's like you know it's that you can feel it's absolutely there. What might be missing is the way that this happens, because I don't think that that's as clear for you as it could be. But it's an awareness that it's there. It's like you've got the message, you know what you want to say, you know how you want to expand the ideas and the thinking of all sorts of people. But there's just that little hesitation between you being you as you are now and you being the sort of person who could do that in a way that feels comfortable. Like whether or not it's that you've got, sort of some sort of ideological objection to hierarchy full stop, and therefore you can't put yourself in that role where you're doing that thing, or whether it's something else. I'm not sure. Now, Aquarius readings have been quite interesting for the last few months because definitely there's been an emotional aspect to them, unpacking emotional stuff. And somebody made an absolutely genius observation in the comment section of one of the Aquarius videos where they talked about how, pointed out quite rightly that the Aquarius is the water bearer. You're carrying that water whether you like it or not, and you're actually carrying that water for the nourishment of the rest of the fucking zodiac, right? That's your thing. You're carrying that along. And yet so much of the Aquarian experience seems to be the separation, right? Now, whether that separation is because you've got to carry it, you're not carrying it in you, you're carrying it in some sort of, delightful amphora or whatever it is. But I think there's taking a sip of the water here, Aquarius, right? All this work that you've been doing on unpacking your emotions over the last few months, we seem to be hitting the sort of the crux of the matter here. We've arrived at a point of transformation, and you don't feel that confident about it, even though of all of the signs, you're probably the one that's most oriented towards the future. You're always a little bit further ahead of the game than everybody else, Even so, people get to a point and you're like, yeah, I told you I literally told you that 5 years ago. Well, you're not fucking listening. And it's like people's consciousnesses can only keep up with, things that are appropriate for the level that they're at. It's a source of constant frustration, I think, for Aquarians. And yet, it's almost like a superpower too. Now, when we start with your recent past energy, we've got the Nine of Swords. Now, the Nine of Swords for me is not a card of, oh my God, everything's fucked and everything's dreadful. It is a card of perception, though. And that perception quite often will be the difference between whether something feels like it's positive or it feels like it's negative, right? When the way that I look at the Nine of Swords is the nines generally actually within the tarot is this idea that the nines represent the individual management of the element that they are related to. So in the case of the Nine of Cups, it's like how you manage and regulate your emotions. In the Nine of Swords, it would be how you regulate and manage your mind. And the next question would be or is it managing you? Is your mind managing you? Are your emotions managing you? And we see underneath here, we've got the Death card. Now, the Death card's one of those like scary cards in the tarot that actually isn't scary at all. And I think in a survey that was done of something like 40,000 tarot readers, it was done by the Tarot Association, 97% of them came back and said the Death card was their favourite. Now, it's because it's not about endings, it's not about things being kicked over, it's about essentially creating space. It's a transformational energy of moving from one state into another. What I'm not sure about here is whether you're kind of resisting it, because that Nine of Swords is speaking to a perception issue. The Six of Pentacles in reverse is talking to a stability issue. It's like, I don't feel good now, although it's a Pentacles card. And so it might be talking about resources, but material resources, might be talking about money and things like that. For me, a pentacle is anything that you can invest. So the Six of Pentacles is, okay, I have what I need. I'm balanced, I'm secure, I'm sorted. So let me get rid of this Norton 360 for gamers off the thing there. And I have a little bit more to give. to other people who are not experiencing that level of balance, right? But it's moon in Taurus. That's the astrological correspondence of this card. And so then we've got this sense of kind of investing in grounding our emotions and making sure that we're utilising all the resources that our emotions provide. And yet the swords are blocking the moon in this card here. It's like there's overthinking, and this is why I'm saying, Aquarius, I think you're kind of stuck in your head, or at least you have been stuck in your head about the transformation, the nature of the transformation, and how unsettling it is because it's so fucking unfamiliar. Now, you know, you might be at least 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead of where most of the rest of the human collective find themselves, right? And I do think Aquarius kind of lives there naturally. It's not somewhere you're ever going to catch up to because it just keeps shifting and shifting and shifting, right? So by the time, you know, some new idea hits the collective consciousness, you've already had plenty of time to process that and move on to the next thing, right? Just bigger and wilder and, you know, more and more futuristic. But this seems to be hitting you right in the here and now, because it's asking something of you here and now, or it has been at least. And worse than that, it's kind of tapping into your emotions at the same time. I feel like this death is a resisted death. It's a resisted transformation. And I'm not sure that you know why it is that you are resisting it, which is quite interesting. It makes sense though, because you are a fixed sign, and as an air sign, which is masculine, like fire, what we have is an outward expression of things. Like feminine signs, feminine elements take into themselves and they process that way. With fire signs, air signs, the masculine signs, it's always about the action, right? Particularly when you've got masculine fixed sign, right? It's action related. It's the active debate of ideas and things, and it's an internal shift that's going on here for you. And I'm not even joking when I'm saying I'm starting to get palpitations. Like, I just feel really anxious about every aspect of this, and it's an uncharacteristic lack of confidence, Aquarius. Like, it's the weirdest fucking sensation. I don't like it at all, right? And the thing is, when we move into your current energy, which is the Knight of Wands, which I think would augur quite well, we've then got that clarified by the Ten of Swords and the Knight of Cups. Now, I say that the Knight of Wands would augur quite well because it's Sagittarius, and Sagittarius has this rather expansive view of the world as well, right? Much like, I think all of the signs in the dark half of the year increasingly have that kind of more visionary kind of energy about them, because like what we have is thin on the ground during the dark half of the year, right? And all the joys of summer and the abundance and the food and the sun and all that kind of thing, like it's a memory now. And now we're moving into a colder, more difficult part of the year where we have to preserve our energy, but we're thinking ahead to the next period of abundance. And what are the things that we have to do now, important word, now, to ensure our success, our future survival, whatnot, in the coming, you know, from spring onwards. So Sagittarius has the vision of what could be. Aquarius feels like it has the vision of what could go wrong and how we'll blow it up to make space for something new to come in instead, right? Because it's that analytical. It's just going over things. Yeah, but did it work? No, didn't work. Fuck it. Let's do something different. Let's smash it to bits. Let's have a revolution and let's do it all again, right, next time. But Sagittarius is about the vision, and it is about the now. It's about the present moment. And so I said that the Knight of Wands could augur quite well because it's associated with action and movement and all that kind of thing. But all it really seems to be doing is rooting you to the now in a way that feels deeply fucking uncomfortable. because we've got the Ten of Swords there. Granted, it is a moving on from the Nine of Swords, an almost inexorable fucking march forwards to, you know, a terminal point in our thinking, because tens represent an end, and it's not a comfortable end, right? It's a challenge to the existing paradigm of reality as we understand it in our own head. It's like where we can't get away from the fact that things have changed, things are changing, and we can't think about things in the same way that we did. So we've got that, which feels deeply uncomfortable. And then on top, we've got the Knight of Cups in reverse, which is Pisces energy, and talking about moving from a heart-centered consciousness, moving from a loving place, all this kind of thing, you know, giving the cup. We talk about the Knight of Cups as, you know, offering our cup to somebody else, right? Giving freely of what is within us out. And it's reversed. Like, this feels like a moment where you feel even more stuck than you were back here. And maybe it's got a Groundhog Day feel to it, because it's so now. You don't have the relief of being able to allow your consciousness to move into the future in a way that feels kind of comfortable for you, because you've got to deal with the here and now. Like, it's almost like the universe won't let you move without that right there, without nailing this issue. Now, I think to some extent, although where you are right now is deeply fucking uncomfortable, because you have achieved that Ten of Swords, because you are at an end, we're going to see a break in that level of tension. I say that because when we're looking at what's coming towards you for August, we have the Six of Cups, but it's showing up in the reverse. Now that, I think, is really, really powerful. I mean, not only is it a Cups card, right? Scorpio Cups card. Scorpio squares you, so, you know, that there's always going to be a little bit of friction where something Aquarian and Scorpio gets together. But it's Cups. It's emotions. Now, when it's in its upright, it talks about a return to something. I mean, it can talk about nostalgia as well. It can talk about childhood. It can talk about your formative years. It can talk about things that just happened a very long time ago. Sometimes it can talk about past life things too, right? But essentially, the Six of Cups is a not now moment, right? It's something that's a very long time before. And sometimes we can have a sense of nostalgia for what was before. And pop fact, the word nostalgia originally in Victorian England did not mean just like a wistful longing for a previous simpler time. It was actually something bordering on neurotic, like a literal sense of nausea when you consider where you are now versus where you were, right? Like visceral physical reaction. It's interesting how that word is softened over time, but when it shows up in the reverse, it means we are not going back. And I think that's very important, because if we look at the Death card again over here, I don't know if you've ever spent any time like really, really gazing at this card, but what we have illustrated there is the relentless march of death. No king, no pope, no child, no woman can withstand the march of death on his white horse, right? It says there's no moral quality that is ever enough to stop death on his transformational march. And there's something very, very interesting about that, because it means we've never reached peak us such that we can be excused from having to evolve any further, to transform any further. When you've been trying to resist over here, and I don't know why, but you have. And like I said, it feels like it's been kicking you in the feels quite hard. But over here, there is a resolve not to continue dwelling in the past, or have any aspect of the past be informing where you are right now, which says to me that there is something deceptively powerful going on in terms of what? Your identity. Now, I've said to Leo a few times that Leo is having a massive fucking identity crisis, and it's not a small one. It's really not a small one. It's been ongoing probably since Mars stationed retrograde in Leo last year. You know, went all the way back through Leo and then all the way back through Cancer, and then it stationed direct, and then it really slowly moved out of Cancer, retracing his steps, and then retraced his steps through Leo. And I honestly think most Leos would just, you know, just internally screaming for most of it. Now, because you share an axis, and because what happens to one side of the axis has some sort of corresponding effect on the other side of the axis, and additionally it feels to me like Leo and Aquarius have switched roles, it seems entirely likely that what you are actually experiencing right now, what you have been experiencing, and what is kind of playing its way out over the course of August is the recognition that you too yourself have been having some sort of identity crisis. Could it be that you've recognized the limitations of your thinking? Possibly. Have you recognized the limitations of a desire to always escape into the future rather than dealing with the issues of the moment? That's possible too. But in August, this resolution that we're not going to drag around the difficulties of the past anymore seems to be coming up to the surface for you. Now, the Lover's card is an extremely multifaceted card. It's multivalent, it's got a lot of different meanings, but then all of the tarot cards do, right? The Lover's card is about union, harmony, together, bringing people together. But it's also about other things. It's about free will and the exercise of free will. It's about manifestation, but for me, a card of passive manifestation rather than active manifestation like you see in the Magician, right? It's often a card of aligning with destiny, if you will, that seems to be being governed by a sort of universal intelligence that's really quite elegant and guiding us towards our pathway and what we're supposed to be doing and whatnot. It's not in the upright yet, but I do think it's on its way, because there has to be a loosening of something, leaving the resistance to death and allowing a transformation to create room for these ideas to begin to percolate. Now, whether that is rooting you in the present and acknowledging that you're needed in the present, not 10 years away from here, but actually right here, right now. And that your emotions form a huge part of that. And whether you can, with all the free will in the world, actually desire to connect with other humans here and now, not in the past, not in the future, but in the now. The issue is never going to be for you, Aquarius, the quality of your ideas. I don't think that's ever going to be an issue. But the way that you relate to the rest of the collective, I think that's the thing that's getting the overhaul. And I think because it's hit you in the identity so profoundly, I think it's completely thrown you for a loop, if I'm honest. I don't think that you expected this to feel so suffocating, so anxiety inducing. Like I feel oppressed right now. I'm just like, just get the fuck away. You're a sign that's used to your space. You're a sign that's used to, picking and choosing when the exploration of ideas occur. You're a sign that... there is an Aquarian who will remain nameless, who is in the circle community, very prominent Aquarian. And he said straight up, I don't want to be in charge of anything. I don't want to be seen. I'm an Aquarian, right? Like I'm gonna whisper the good ideas into the Leo's ear and let the Leo execute that. Because that's what Leo does, right? Leo's the figurehead. It's the middle of everything. But The roles have flipped. Now, if there's no issue with the quality of your ideas, where is the growth for you? Now, whether this is an ego position, said with all the love in the world, Aquarius, come on, it's coming from a fucking Leo. I know ego, right? Just saying. Any transformation that you go through is not going to be one on an intellectual level that will allow you to expand your thinking. It's quite literally what you already do. So growth and evolution for an Aquarius is going to be hitting slightly different to how it would hit for a Leo, for example, right? It's being seen. It's allowing yourself to connect. It's about your love for humanity not being just like a faceless sea of people that you have a sense of agape towards. It's about very direct connection, one-on-one, with lots of people who are all looking at you, wanting to catch your eye, while you are delivering what you feel in here. So first off, you got to get really in touch with what you feel. Second off, it is absolutely pointless for you to start talking about things that might happen 30, 40, 50 years from now in anything other than a conversational tone, because the change, the revolution, the rebellion, it's all happening right here. There's a shift in consciousness that needs to be shepherded, I think, lest it go off like a Catherine wheel in all sorts of different directions. Now, you've got the benefit of being able to visualize what is going on over there. Retro-engineer the steps, Aquarius. How do we get to there from here? And how do we do it at more of an Aquarian rate than, say, a Taurian rate? How do we do that? Because everybody is looking at you to start giving them those answers. And it's something about the fact that everybody is looking at you and you are in the middle of things and you seem to be a magnet when you're not used to it. It's bringing up all sorts of things that feel awful. It's giving you an identity crisis. And the problem is that you don't really know how to fix it and you really don't know what you want on top of everything else. The Temperance card is a card of balance and equilibrium. It's also a card of healing. It's a card of having journeyed through something very, very difficult and then coming to a place where we're kind of grounded with it all now. We're like, yep, no, that's good. I made it. I'm here. Temperance in anything other than the upright is things feeling like they're kind of sloshing around, and we're waiting for the water to stop sloshing from one side to the other, so we can work out where the middle is. Not there yet. 9 of Cups. How can you know what you want if you're not even really tapped into what feels fulfilling for you? Because there's something about the way you've been unpacking your emotions and then what it means in terms of the effect it has on the extent to which you will allow yourself to be happy. Oh, this is a very trite phrase, but I think it's the right one. Rather than just being intellectually curious about the world, can you engage with it on an emotional level? I feel like this switching roles that you and Leo have done, I've seen, Leo in the Aquarian space being like, what the fuck? I don't know what any of this means. And having to cope with the fact that rather than being a representation of the orthodoxy and that being a good thing, being that we're now in a time of revolution and rebellion and everything's getting upended, and what the fuck is the point of the orthodoxy while that is going on? Like, literally everybody is rejecting it. Now, it's not that everybody's rejecting Leo, but they're rejecting the orthodoxy. And now Leo has to take a little bit of time out to go fucking level up on their own, to start thinking about the future and the direction that they would like to be able to lead everyone when the orthodoxy is returned to them. But in the meantime, because the prevailing, energy is, how do we reject the orthodoxy? How do we bring a sense of autonomy back to ourselves, sovereignty back to ourselves? How do we engage with chaos, Aquarius? Teach us. Like Leo's going to be fuck all use to anyone in that space. Aquarius, on the other hand, all the use. But it's the level of connection. And it's the transformation that you need to go through that puts you in a position where you're learning something from Leo and Leo's learning something from you, and you're doing it at opposite ends of wherever you are. But you're both doing it with an eye on what is good for the collective in your different ways. Now, August feels like it's a turning point for you because the Lovers is on the table. It's not upright, but it's on the table. There's an understanding that the King of Swords in reverse is like, I'm having a mega identity crisis. Everything's upended. I don't know what I want. I'm surprised to find that actually I do want to want something, but I don't know what that is. You're kind of hitting a noodled point of entropy. You're kind of sitting in the middle of the chaos and being all like, how can I be the order? That seems to be what everybody wants from me. How can I be the order when I am, everything that I am is the complete opposite? It's about smashing the order, rebelling, being innovative. What a fucking conundrum, Aquarius. It's a good one, though. It's a really good one. And this is what I find so fascinating about this underlying intelligence of the universe, because it always provides exactly the right fucking lessons and the right level of discomfort to force us to grow. We don't get to ride along on the, on the destiny train without putting in any effort. It's always super well curated to each of us. And this is where you are. Now, I think you've been through the deconstruction phase. I think that was 9 of Swords, 10 of Swords area. And I think from here on out becomes the reconstruction phase. Where you're levelling up not your ideas, but your connection, the trust and faith that you inspire in other people, but also levelling up the contact that you have with your emotions, because there's a lot that's going to flow from there. I don't think the pressure of the people looking at you is going to release. I think that's probably just going to intensify for a long time. But I think that because you're starting to get it, there's a distinct possibility that it will be something that you can shoulder a little easier, This is absolutely fascinating. So I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to go to the extended now, and you're very welcome to join me over there if you would like to do that. We're going to dig around in this a little bit more, see if we can, pull up some more information that would help. So if you would like to join me, like I said, you're very welcome to do so. You can do that on Circle, you can do that on Selfie. I'd be delighted to see you in either place, and the links for both are in the description box below. I just don't think you can force this, really, Aquarius. I think it's going to happen in its own time, at its own rate. And the best thing that we can do is recognise the signposts for us, which is, oh, I'm in a state of resistance. Oh, I'm having an identity crisis. And just let this play out a little bit, because the emergent order that we're seeing here with the hierophant and whatnot, it's probably starting with you first. We might be skipping ahead when we're thinking about the things along the lines of hierarchy and whatnot. Nevertheless, it's not too distant, So, know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.